Welcome students to part 2 of the topic theoretical versus experimental probability, and in today's session you are going to learn how to solve problems on theoretical and experimental probability. Before you watch this video, I would recommend you to watch my previous videos which explain the difference between these two probabilities, and if you've still not watched it, I will put the link in the description box for the first video on this series. So let's get started. Recall from the previous video on the difference between theoretical and experimental probability, the formula to calculate the theoretical probability. So when it comes to theoretical probability, we assume the outcomes are equally likely, that is, they have equal chances of occurring. And in such a case, you may take an example of tossing a fair coin. It has equal probability whether the heads will come or the tails will come if the coin is fair. So they are equally likely events with the same probability of happening, which is 50%. That was what was your theoretical probability, and it deals with an ideal situation or a theoretical situation. And when we have the equally likely outcomes, the formula for theoretical probability is defined as this one. So I'll put a star mark here, and it says that it is the ratio, that means you are doing division of the number of favorable outcomes to the total number of possible outcomes for a given experiment or a given event. So the probability of an event, when we are talking about the theoretical probability, is the formula you will be all using to solve the problem. For the equally likely outcomes, you take the number of favorable outcomes and divide by the total number of outcomes in the sample space. So let's see how we can use this formula now to calculate theoretical probability for different examples. First example where you have to calculate the theoretical probability is this one. Let me read out the question. Each letter of the word probable, so we are taking this word, is written on a separate card. The cards are placed face down, so you can't see which alphabet or which letter is coming up, and it's all mixed up. So what is the probability that the randomly selected card has a consonant? Okay, now to find this probability, we need to be very clear what is a consonant, what is a vowel. Let's see this word again. I will write here Probable. So if we look at the letters, let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are total of 8 letters in this word, and out of these words, if we remove the vowel, what is left is consonant. So let's see what are the vowels. I'm going to just use a different color to highlight the vowels. So A, E, I, O, U, these are the vowels. Let me write here A, E, I, O. These are the 5 vowels which are possible. So let us remove these so that we get the consonant. So O, A, E, these 3 are the vowels. If I remove, I have 5 consonants left, which are the letter P, R, B, V and L. So 2 times V is coming. So therefore we can say that the total number of possible letters that can come when you are picking up a randomly selected card, it can be 8 possible outcomes because there are 8 total letters, and out of which there are only 5 favorable outcomes because there are 5 consonants. So therefore the probability, now remember we are calculating the theoretical probability, so in this one there can be 5 favorable outcomes out of total of 8. So the fraction that would give the theoretical probability will be 5 divided by 8, and you can use a calculator to convert this fraction into decimal. So that will come out to be around 0.625, and then you multiply it with 100, so you can get it in percentage. Now all answers are correct. Even if you leave your answer in a fraction form, that is correct. If you convert it into decimal and write it as 0.625, that is also correct. And if you write it in the percentage form by multiplying with 100, that is also correct. These are just 3 different ways of giving the answer. All of them eventually have the same. Okay, let's now take another very important question, quite interesting, which is on theoretical probability. Here you have two number cubes which are rolled. So there are two dice. You need to find the probability. What is the difference between the two numbers is 4. So we are actually fixing the difference here, and then we need to look at the probability of that happening. Okay, so in order to use the formula for theoretical probability, first you need to have the numbers that you will divide to get the ratio. So we need the total number outcomes and we need the favorable number of outcomes. Now what are the possible cases? For one die there can be 6 options. Okay, so here in this case there are 2 number die, so the number of possible outcomes can be calculated by the formula 6 to the power n, where n is the number of times you are doing the experiment. So here you are doing it 2 times, you are rolling 2 number die. So 6 to the power 2, that is 36 possible outcomes. So you've got your denominator for the formula. Now you need to look at your numerator. Now numerator, because the experiment here is that the difference has to be 4, is equal to the number of outcomes with the difference 4. How many are there possible favorable outcomes, and then you divide by the 30. Now finding this numerator is the most important part of this question. So let's go to this sample space. We've already put in the sample space here. The first die we have indicated with red color. The second die, number which is coming, is indicated with blue. So these are the possible 36 outcomes which are possible. So in the first die 1 to 6, there are these 6 possibilities. Similarly for all other cases, and then you change the number on the second die 6 times. So total 36. Now let's look at the numbers and see where the difference can be 4. So definitely in the first row, if you see, there is nothing out of all of these options which will give you difference 4, so this cannot be favorable outcome. Let's look at the second one. Is there something which can give us a difference 2? So if we look at the numbers, yes. If we need the difference to be 4, then 2 and 8. This is a favorable outcome. Let me just use my highlighter here and highlight with yellow color the favorable outcomes. This can be one favorable outcome. And if you just take the opposite of this, that is 6 on the first die and 2 on the second, then this would also give you difference 4. So these are 2 favorable outcomes which we have got. Let's see, do we have anything on the second row or not? So we'll return to our pen. So here in this third row, if you look, there is nothing that gives you the difference 4, so this is not accepted. Come to the next one. Again, nothing that gives you difference of 4, not accepted. Let's come to this one, 5 and 1. This looks like a good combination because 5 minus 1 is difference of 4. And now if you go back to your first row, here also 1 comma 5, this is opposite. That means these two are again my favorable outcomes. We are sorry, we missed out on this one. So 1 comma 5 and 5 comma 1, these are also going to be favorable outcomes. Let's look at the last 2 rows and see if anything is missing with the difference of 4. And if you look at these numbers, then we can see that all of the ones which are left have no other option. So there seems to be 1, 2, 3 and 4 favorable outcomes which are having the difference of 4, which is 1 comma 5, 2 comma 6, 5 comma 1 and 6 comma 2. We've already highlighted. Therefore our final theoretical probability for the difference to be 4 will be 4 divided by 36, which is 1. This is how you use the formula of theoretical probability to solve a question. Let's look at another example of a similar type. Here also we have 2 dice. The first digit is denoted by the red number cube and the second one by the blue number cube. These are rolled, and if all the numbers are equally likely, we have to find the theoretical probability that the difference is going to be 6. Let's underline. Now in this case the difference has to be 6. So if difference is 6, let's go to these 36 outcomes that we have, the total possible outcomes, and see if such a case is possible where the difference will be 6. So if you look at the first row, for example, here the difference is 0, then 1, then 2, and the maximum difference possible is 5. So I'm just putting my highlighter again. So in this one the maximum difference is 5. Similarly for the other options, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The maximum difference is 4. Similarly, the next row you can see the difference maximum which is possible is coming out to be 3. Maximum difference here which is coming out is 3 here. Yeah, that's the maximum. Similarly, for the next one, the maximum difference that is possible in this kind of a scenario is 4. In this one, the maximum difference which is possible is 5. So nowhere out of these 36 outcomes we can observe that the difference is 6. So this looks like an impossible event because the number of outcomes, the difference 6, has no favorable outcome. So we can conclude that there are 0 outcomes which have a difference of 6. If such an event has 0 possibility, then such an event is called an impossible event. So in this particular example, you have got actually an example of impossible event, because when you are going to conduct this experiment, or when you are going to do this event, you will have no possibilities where the difference is 6. So this is an example of impossible event where the probability of happening is 0. I hope by everybody. Let's come to the second key concept for today, which is experimental probability. In the last video, we have understood the difference between experimental and theoretical probability. Let's revise quickly the formula for experimental probability now. So when you are doing an experiment, you are repeating a trial, and the repetition of the experiment is what is called as a trial. So I will just remind you quickly of the keywords here. The repetition of the experiment that you're doing is a trial, and the sample space of the experiment is the set of all possible outcomes that will come during that experiment. So in a way, we could say that experimental probability is nothing but the ratio of the number of times that event occurs, that is the frequency of that experiment, to the total number of trials that are being conducted. The experimental probability is a real-time probability where you are actually conducting the experiment, and then you are calculating the experimental probability by taking the number of the trials, or the number of times the event is occurring or the experiment is occurring, divided by the total number of trials. Formula, let's now use it to solve the problem. Okay, so in this experiment, we will find the experimental probability. The table shows the results of a spinner experiment. So we have already done in detail about the spinner kind of problems. You can watch my previous videos on probability where we have discussed in great detail the spinner questions. Now in this question, you are already given the results of the experiment in the form of this table that you see. So when you are doing this experiment, you are spinning the spinner, then there are 4 types of cases which are possible: 1, 2, 3 and 4. These 4 numbers can come on the spinner. The number of times or the number of occurrences where the number 1 is coming is 6, 2 is coming is 11, 3 is coming is 19 and 4 is coming 14. Now we need to find the experimental probability that you are getting an outcome of. Okay, so this is the favorable one that we have to consider. So we'll use the highlighter and highlight. So 4 number is coming on the spinner 14 times. Now we need to also have the total number of possible cases or the total occurrence. We'll go back and we are going to add them. We are going to add these all numbers which you see, 6 plus 11 plus 19 plus 15, to get the total number of trials. So this will come out to be 50 trials. So out of a total of 50 trials, number 4 is coming on the spinner 14 times. So the favorable outcomes are 14 out of 50. So you can divide them, get the fraction. The answer is 7 divided by 25 in the fraction form, and you can convert into decimal to get 0.28. Now you can also convert into percentage by multiplying by 100. So the probability, the experimental probability that the spinner is landing on a 4 is 28%. Let's take another simpler and similar example. Again, we are having a spinner. The experiment is that we are noting down the results of this experiment where we are spinning in this form of a table. So the 4 options 1, 2, 3, 4 can come, and they are coming in these many number of times when we are doing the experiment. Now we want to say what is the experimental probability that the spinner has a number greater than 2. That means we have more than one option. So let's go back to our highlighter and highlight. Greater than 2 means it has to be more than 2. That means it can be 3 or it can be 4. So the favorable outcomes would be here 19 plus 14. So you can do this addition, and the numbers which are greater than 2 we've already seen are 3 and 4. 3 is occurring 19 times, 4 is occurring 14 times. So in all they are both occurring 33 times out of the total number of possible cases or the total occurrences, which is 50. So 33 divided by 50, 0.33. This is going to be the decimal probability. In percentage you can convert to say that the experimental probability that you will get a number greater than 2 would be 66%. So we've just multiplied 0.66 with 100. Okay, so let's check out one last example. This is example 5 and this is based upon the cards. So I will read. The table shows the results of choosing one card. So you're choosing one card out of a deck of cards. You should remember that a deck of cards has 52 cards in all, and you're recording the suit and then replacing the card. So let me remind you, this is a question with replacement. So you're just picking up a card and then you're putting it back. So the various suits of card are 4 suits, you all know. Number 1 is hearts, then diamonds, then clubs, and then spades. So the number which is coming favorable to each of these card suit. For heart it is 5, for diamonds 4, 9, for clubs 7, and for spades 5. You need to find the experimental probability of choosing a diamond. That means our favorable outcome here is coming from the suit of diamonds, which has number 9 as the favorable outcome. So therefore we can say the outcome of diamonds occurring would be 9 out of 26. So if you want the total possible number of outcomes, you can just add up these numbers. So 5 plus 9 plus 7 plus 5, so this is coming 26. There are total 26 number of possible outcomes which are possible. So we can write the fraction here. The experimental probability that we are choosing a diamond is 9, which is the favorable out of the total, which is 26. You can convert this fraction into decimal also, into fraction also. That's how we solve the question. So that brings us to the end of today's video. This is Ms. Ruchika signing off for today. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to receive all notifications about my upcoming videos. Bye bye.